Welcome to the Real Estate Show. From buying to selling and everything in between. Rochester's home for everything real estate. And now, your hosts from the Anthony Butera team of Keller Williams Realty, Greater Rochester. It's Anthony Butera and Jason Mancuso.
Hey guys, last podcast of 2018. We're going to do a year in review, what happened to the market, what we went through. And we're gonna dive into that for our last episode of the year.
Yeah, we're on episode 44. You can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook. Go on YouTube. We got the podcast all up there. And yeah. So how's Christmas?
Good. It's good.
Yeah, it was good.
Actually, get anything you wanted?
Socks.
Got socks. Good.
Actually, my wife got me a beer club membership.
Really? What to wear?
12-pack a month delivered to the door.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm excited about that.
Nice.
Look at that. Mm-hmm. So now you'll really be drinking, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta...
Just kind of saves me a trip for
right.
one weekend, I guess. But yeah.
When do you expect the invoices to be sent to you?
Right.
Yeah.
Is it like prepaid for the year?
Yeah.
Okay, so 12-pack a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
IPAs, help the beer belly.
that should suit you. 12 beers a month.
Well,
These are just
fancy,
specialty.
Fancy
Gotcha.
stuff.
Okay.
I can't blow through them in one night.
I got a onesie with a onesie pajama with a butt flap. So the whole point is that you don't have to take, because if you got a onesie on, if you have to go use the bathroom, you're taking down all your clothes to your ankles, right?
Yeah.
But with the butt flap.
Is this real life?
Yeah, I live in Churchville, man. So yeah, we do the onesie. I don't know. Did
the family get all matching onesie?
What happened was my wife bought me a onesie, right? Lily bought me a onesie, and then my mother-in-law saw that she bought me that onesie and then bought Lily the matching onesie.
So you guys match.
So yeah, we're both wearing men's onesies with butt flaps.
Okay, well, I've got a few questions. All right, so
what about the front?
what about the front?
You just hold it.
You okay? So wait a second.
You go out the neck.
So
right.
So the onesie, it's you can just do number 2 in the onesie.
I guess
you can't do number onesie.
Flexible.
You can't do number onesie. Just do number 2C.
That's right.
All right, just please tell me, have you gone to the bathroom with it on?
I did. I didn't even try the butt flap.
All right.
Please don't. I don't want to ruin a onesie.
Yeah. Why would? Come on. And then if she's wearing a men's onesie, I guess
the butt flap. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, she said she was able to use it to go to the bathroom. If you want to get into that nitty gritty,
it's kind of like technically a woman's onesie.
But I did actually get a really the onesie's great and everything. But I got a really good gift. I don't know. You guys are a little older than me, so were you Nintendo or Super Nintendo?
Oh, well, Nintendo originally.
Sega.
You never had a Nintendo?
The old school. I never did Super Nintendo, though.
I got the Super Nintendo with the games already loaded on there. So it's got 30 games already loaded on.
So they make that new, then?
Yeah, it's brand new, and it's just basically a hard drive, but it's got the same controllers, and so that was pretty good.
My parents still have video of when me and my brothers got the Nintendo for Christmas.
Yeah.
And, of course, that was like hitting the lotto at that point.
Uh-huh. Oh, sure.
Because it was really... Actually, you know what? Now I'm really going to date myself.
Circa,
I had Atari.
89.
I had Atari before the Nintendo. It had the weird remote with all, the whole alphabet and the numerics. And then it had the joystick up top. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. My grandmother had it at her house, I remember.
The Atari?
Yeah.
That was. I wonder what that cost then. I still remember the Nintendo at that point, and you're probably talking, it was probably 1988, somewheres around there. And I remember that it was $120.
Yeah.
But then, of course, there was the games. The games were expensive, too.
Actually, you know what? I saw an old school,
ad?
KB Toys ad.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it was only $80.
Well, yeah, dude, I got one for...
Back then, that's
$200.
Sure,
all right, you can get the $90 for the original Nintendo and $150 for the action pack. I don't know what the action pack came with.
So the action pack is what I may have gotten. It came with a robot, and you were able to use that and Gyromite. Remember Gyromite? Ended up being the lamest game, but it came with the the action pack, I think, is what we got. But me and my brothers went nuts. Like we didn't. They made the mistake of having us open that first.
Yeah.
And then try and sit there through the socks and the T-shirts.
Let's see. Super Nintendo was in 1991 $200.
Okay.
I mean
That's
like a
bucks
car.
back then,
Yeah, that's like $500 or something.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, right?
Yeah.
1990 money.
Yesterday, my
$200.
parents were talking about, to put things, to relate to what things cost back then and the impact, but it was, my father was talking about his first car was $350, and of course, it was used, but still it was $350 and it ran. But then they were talking about their first mortgage payment was $200. That was all in. That was mortgage, taxes, and homeowners insurance. $200 on Hag Street. And
The house was probably 20, 30.
yeah, that was in the 70s. That was that had to be mid 70s when they purchased that, and
$200 with 10% interest, probably.
yeah, definitely high interest. But I told them, I was like, to be honest with you, you could probably pay it back with a monthly mortgage payment of around $200 today. So it probably depreciated from when he bought it. But it was nuts because their first house they bought after leaving the city in Greece, that was like $50,000, and then they sold it in like 1990, 91, because then they built the house, but sold it for like $125,000 then.
Well, I mean, good kind of segue, just because the homes were a lot cheaper back then and the interest rates were a lot higher.
Yeah.
And then, boomed and home prices go up. You just can't have a sustainable market with a 12% interest rate on a $200,000 home. It'd be impossible.
Interest rates super high. Labor, materials were so much lower,
Right.
and then the insurance and all that jazz that's just skyrocketed since. Everyone that took advantage of the system then, we're all paying for it.
Well, and think
Thanks, baby boomers.
World War II and all the homes that went up around then. Literally $40,000 for a brand new house in the suburbs.
People literally built their own homes too, though. Like they would get the kits, and they would build the home themselves. They would
mess it up.
Sears.
Mess it up so
They would
bad.
get the kit. They would get home kits from Sears, and they would deliver everything that you needed to build the house.
That's what I got my
Just
wife.
take a weekend or whatever. Get a couple buddies.
a couple weekends.
30 rack of Keystone, and you got a house built.
It's the 1 hour extreme home makeover. But today we're diving into what was the market in 2018.
Year in review.
I would say the wildest roller coaster ride that we've probably ever experienced. Right?
Really, the last 2 years, similar story. This year just unique in that the start of the year, Bills playoffs, January, and then we went into just not great weather, and it just stalled the market. Our spring market was.
I feel like that was a jab. Why would you?
Just year in review.
We're ending the year with negativity.
Go through everything.
Yeah.
It was a highlight.
Yeah, it's over when we're not in this year, and you are.
First time in 17 years or whatever, right?
Wait,
Yeah.
the Bills made the
Celebrate.
playoffs last year?
Yeah, in
Celebration.
Jacksonville. I was there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I half remember this.
Yeah, I was there.
We're not doing so good on the year review. But we had a crappy winter, and it stalled kind of slowed down things compared to. Our spring market didn't really start till April.
Yeah, the market
Usually
was delayed.
Late February, March is when it starts to get bonkers, and people really hop out of the woods from hibernation. And
It was wild for us because I remember you and I looking at each other last January, February, going, somebody shut the lights off because nothing was happening. We got pounded. I think we did like a 45-day stretch where it never got above 20 degrees. It was brutal.
Yep.
So it was like the 2-month blizzard that just put a halt on the real estate market. So we had to get through. We had to struggle through those slower months. And as a matter of fact, this year we added 100 units. So we sold 100 more homes this year compared to last year. Although it was a more challenging market, we were behind up until the beginning of the third quarter of 2019. So I would prefer not to play that game. It sucks trying to play catch up, but we put the pedal to the metal.
Well, and a perfect storm for everything. Just we've had years now of a low inventory problem, and fine with calling it a problem because we're talking like 5 to 10% decreases year over year, starting in 2015 maybe.
Inventory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, just less homes for sale, a buying pool that's getting more and more educated that wants to own a home versus rent because of the affordability on the rent scale is through the roof and not affordable anymore.
Yep.
And what was 2-3 years ago interest rates in the threes, mid to high threes, creeping up 4, low 4s, creeping up this year, starting to hit mid 4s with the prediction of 5 is around the corner. So it's just been the perfect storm over really the last 2 years of everything taking place that's taken place. And, fast forward to spring, true spring, and we're back in multiple offers, crazy amount over asking price if you want to win. People just a real frenzy out there in the market if you're a buyer, and if you're a seller, it's great.
Yeah.
So, still true definition of a seller's market, but I would just describe it as to the insanity level of like, we could walk into a listing appointment and not literally, but it was almost like, hey, yeah, whatever you want, we'll throw it up there, and it's probably going to go over. There's a lot of agents just looking at each other like, nobody knows how to price a home anymore.
And if you do, you're lying.
Right.
Because, full disclosure, we were left with egg on our face plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
And that
in terms of
pricing these houses.
right.
Because
and them going for more.
Yeah, and they had no business going for more, but the market, it changed so fast that we didn't have the data that could keep up with the changes. There was no supporting evidence to the value, and literally that's when it clicked with Jason and I. It was like, dude, we have to change our pricing from week to week, not month to month. Like, we can't go back and look at solds in the last 30 days. It's irrelevant. We're in bizarro world.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's dive into that because the any normal path of pricing a home, you're looking, okay, let's see what's sold.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go, typically you want to stay within like a 6-month parameter. Maybe you go back as far as a year. Things were happening at such a crazy level that you can't even use a comp from 9 months ago that sold in 3 doors down and look at it and say, all right, let's use this data. You can, but you can't.
Yeah.
You have to look at the house that's maybe a street over, that's active on the market or a pending sale to see what happened, how sold it quick, or how quick it sold, and go off of that. So your true data turned to what's actually out there right now, and is it sitting on the market stagnant or did it sell quickly? That's your indicator, not what sold a year ago, because even that was a crazy market. Now we're at a different elevation.
If you listed your house between the last, let's call it April 1st through the end of July, if you listed it then, it didn't sell, and you still own it, you will never, ever, ever be able to list it for what you had it listed for, number one. So if the thought is to put it back out there, you're really going to have to reel it in and get somebody to price it correctly, because whether you were trying to sell it yourself or you hired an agent that was willing to take it on just to take it on, if you listed something that didn't sell last spring, early summer market, it's never going to sell, or it's so specific, or it's so expensive, right? We have to keep things relative. So again, that market of $750,000 and above, there's not much seasonality to that. That's just who's willing to buy those taxes. Forget the price of the house. Who's willing to buy those taxes, right?
Yeah.
So that wasn't really affected. But if you were in the normal market, if you were priced between $100,000 and $300,000, I'll even push the number there.
Right.
in last spring's market and it didn't sell,
Yeah.
you were extremely overpriced.
You're either overpriced or there's something wrong with the house.
Yeah.
Or it just wasn't, price and condition, we're so far apart that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, another topic for the year in review is, okay, now we've got 2 to 3 years of these same conditions, and we've got the buying pool becoming more savvy.
Yep.
Right? Because this wasn't the first year of this craziness. So now, the buyers that were out there, I mean, with our team specifically, it was tough to get a deal done if you're representing a buyer. I mean, you are beating your head against the wall. The buyers are frustrated. The agents are frustrated. You're just out there making a strong offer, and you find out you lose by $10,000. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So that just created, an education level, so to speak, for the buying pool to become more savvy and realize I don't want to get caught up in this and be in a bad position. And the bad position is, okay, prices increase across the board. We can deal with that, and that's great overall. Mm-hmm. But when you take that price increase and then tack on another $20,000, which a lot of people were doing just to win, it's almost like a game at that point or a competition. I want what other people want, just kind of human nature. And some people wanted to win that battle, and they went out and did something that they needed to do to win, but
either they
maybe in a bad position.
And either they were ecstatic when they found out that their offer got accepted, or we had the opposite where we would make, the call, or one of their buyer specialists would make that call. Congrats, your offer got accepted, and now they feel like they've become the ass for every seat, and it's like, oh God, we overpaid, didn't we? Right? I mean, if there was 5 to 10 other offers and your offer was accepted, you're either going to be ecstatic because you won and you're in the spirit of competition, or you're going to sit back and say, oh, man, if I won, I must have really overpaid for this house. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think this year we learned more about the mindset and the psychology around buyers, whether it's remorse.
Yeah, I hear you, but I think, to toot our horns, I think we do a great job as a team just to make sure that they understand that, hey, we're not going to let you overpay.
No.
Like, we're going to tell you, you're freaking nuts if you want to offer this.
Yep.
And, after we say that 3 times, kind of say our piece, if they still want to do it, it's like, look, I mean, you call me in 5 years, I'm not going to be able to help you.
Yeah.
So we go out of our way to talk people out of the deal that they shouldn't be making. Mm-hmm. But I think what you just alluded to was more of a reaction throughout the market.
Yeah,
with agents that weren't representing the way they should, and we dealt with that a lot on the listing side, where offer accepted. Our sellers are ecstatic because like, what do you mean you just sold it for this? Like, yeah. And then the next day, we get the call from the agent. Oh, my buyer just called me crying, and they need to kill the deal.
Yeah.
It almost became commonplace where for us it's like that would piss you off to no end because then you got to make the call to the seller, break their hearts. Everybody's pissed. It's just like, okay, no, I get it. You're not doing your job. It almost became commonplace where it shouldn't in our industry at all.
But easy remedy, you call the agents that have the other buyers, and most of the times they're still in it.
Yep.
They're willing to keep the same price. Now, if it was just one other buyer, and now that they know there's no other competition, well, we were willing to pay this much then, but now things have changed a little bit. But for the most part, I mean, people were getting top dollar no matter what. And to be honest with you, in certain price ranges, even right now, people are still paying top dollar.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, you mentioned 100 to 300. The 300s, probably more east side than west side. West side, you're probably up to 200.
Yep.
But that, we're gonna talk 2019 preview, next week, next episode. But looking forward, there's really no end in sight to the market being strong. Back to the buying pool becoming more savvy and educated. this year, I think, is going to lead to the end of just the craziness of $20,000 over asking price when the house is priced at its peak to begin with, and open houses with 100 people through them and 30 offers afterward. I think the rumor, the cat's out of the bag as far as the buying pool, understanding that, all right, I'm going to sit on the sidelines until this cools down.
Yeah. If we didn't have a lack of inventory in Rochester, we would have a record-breaking market as far as number of homes sold. There is no shortage of buyer inventory. There's plenty of buyers out there, and now we're even catching wind of certain types of financial products and grants that are going to be established for this upcoming year, and ones that are going to change a little bit to make it even more beneficial. My whole thing is, like, it's great that they're doing it, and a lot of them, they're federal programs. They're backed by Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. But with that being said, we almost need grant money to get sellers out of their houses, because we can give grant money and we can make it more attractive for buyers, but it just increases the buyer pool, yet we don't have enough houses for these pool of buyers that want to take advantage of these programs that are being established.
Yeah. And again, just supply and demand. I mean, there's just more buyers than there were homes for sale, homes for sale, and when the right home comes up that's priced, reasonably and in a good location and in good shape, 10 offers in a day.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's, again, good if you're a seller. Be very careful if you're a buyer. This is what you had to do this past year. So now there's a lot of buyers that are left over. And unfortunately, throughout the year, the interest rate did increase. Guys, keep in mind, I know it doesn't really translate to your wallet, but historically speaking, we are still at a very low level. I mean, 5%, you're not doing bad. Unfortunately, we were spoiled with, mid to high threes for about a 1 to 2 year period. I can't think of how long that lasted, but that's just most likely never going to happen again.
And I mean, it's because the market was in shambles.
Right. They needed to happen.
Yeah.
They had to spur it.
So the market's doing great. I know Christmas Eve it dropped like 600, and that was the big news.
Stock market.
The stock market, it dropped 600 points. The Dow did, and then yesterday it
biggest gain.
Biggest
single day gain.
Over 1,000 points in one day yesterday. So there's still consumer confidence, and it's the reason.
It's at an all-time high.
Yeah, it's an all-time high, and again, it's not going to change. We're never going to hit the heights of from the past. But you can expect 5 to 6% interest rates coming up. And again, that's still great money. 2007, I purchased my first home, and it was 7%.
Was it that high?
Yeah, in 2007,
Wow.
It was 7%. I got it was at Chase Bank. I wasn't in real estate at that point, but it was 7%, and that was a great rate. And then, because it went up a little bit, because like 2005, I remember everyone talked about the rates dropped extreme and everybody was refinancing to like 5.5. Then it went up a little bit, and then it came extremely down after the market crash, 2008, 2009. Every year it kept decreasing from there, and it's all based on the bonds market. So right now, you're going to see more people investing in bonds because there's so much volatility to the stock market, right? Like I tell there's turmoil, no doubt about it. We're one tweet away from the stock market crashing. You just don't know what's going to happen. But what's been happening is excellent. A lot of people are doing well with their portfolios, but I just don't know what to trust with that. So a lot of people that are getting into the bond market, it's a less risky proposition, and the bond market is what indicates the interest rate levels.
Yeah, I mean, with that conversation, it's more relevant if you're 50 and over and really cognizant of what your retirement's doing for people our age. It's just let it ride. Don't even pay attention to it.
No. I pay attention to it every day.
Don't.
I know.
But I mean, let's talk 5% interest rate. The whole another catalyst for this market has just been the rental market is even more out of control as far as what people are paying in rent, and I think that's starting to correct itself as well. I know a couple people have Park Avenue, strong neighborhood by U of R, that this summer when a unit went vacant, they actually had trouble trying to fill it.
Yeah.
So that
that high end market,
cat's out of the bag on that too.
Yep.
It's like, why would I pay $1,400 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment in a good city neighborhood when I can time to rip the Band-Aid off. I'll pay $1,200 a month to own my home.
Yeah.
Closer to mom and dad and take an Uber downtown.
Because I feel like the demographics of people that are renting in that Park Ave neighborhood or that surrounding area, I feel like those are the renters that are closest to buying, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like you've reached the ceiling of neighborhoods.
Your young 20s, you're doing the damn thing and hitting the town, and then you get that out of your system. And it's time to buy a house.
When you're sick of hearing people puking outside in your front porch at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Bed bugs.
Yeah.
Hearing the neighbors have bed bugs, you're just scared for your life. Let's just burn this place down.
All of their belongings are on the curb.
It's like,
covered in hazmat.
Right. Yeah. Time to get up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and again, the opportunity is that, depending on what you purchase, you're either, a bargain if you're, really buying the big boy house on your first try, and, it would cost $2,500 a month to rent that.
Yeah.
Or, you're living the same, or if not cheaper, and you own your house, and now you have an equitable situation, and why wouldn't you? Why pay the landlord when you can essentially, pay yourself more or less?
Correct.
So yeah, I mean that's fueling things as well. Has been fueling things. I mean, I think the rental market's correcting a little bit, but I don't think it's going to affect what the housing sales does moving forward. But
I think, and again, to recap 2018, it was the tale of four seasons, right? I mean, it was a seller's market the whole time.
Yep.
But it changed so often that to even go back and, you wonder what appraisers are using, which is good for us, when we're trying to establish value, or if we have any appraisal concerns. There's so much data now because of that market, of so many homes in neighborhoods that sold for dollar amounts that nobody's seen. There was a huge surge in home pricing and sales. So I'm wondering if they're using that data, or if they're saying, well, that was just seasonality of the market, right? But a comp is a comp.
Yeah.
So to me, they have to be able to use that because, again, someone will be able to sell it for that amount at some point in the future whenever the market's that hot.
Right.
But I'm hoping that there's never a listing inventory shortage. But where we benefited from that was with our new construction, right? Yeah. So if your buyers can't find something and they're in that $200,000 and above price range, you got build. It'd be the easiest commission you can get. 90% of the builders are real estate agent friendly. You register your clients and then you bring it up to them and you register them first, because if the builder talks to them before you do, you can kiss your commission away. So you make sure that you're having those conversations with your buyers and say, hey, have you guys considered building, since we can't find exactly what it is you're looking for? Because buyers will overpay, or they'll go a little bit over their budget if they could build exactly what they want, custom to their lifestyle, whether that's 3 kids and 2 dogs on a decent sized lot, or if it's a 55 plus set of buyers and they can't find that ranch that's quite big enough, but they know they want some single floor living, I would say venture into the new construction. Because I got to tell you, from the new construction deals that we put together last year, I was looking at the sales prices. I have a ton of confidence that if they were to list their homes this year and this upcoming year, they would be able to walk out without losing any money, which is very rare for new construction.
Well, and I think it's kind of fueled by it's almost like a myth that I don't want to wait that long to build my own house.
And that,
The reality is, if you're out there in the market, you may end up being the same amount of time after you get done beating your head against the wall
Correct.
and lose out on 5 deals because you got outbid.
Correct.
So,
and
if
hey,
you start. I mean, it's
yeah.
almost like, okay, if you have that budget, almost start there first. At least have that conversation. Hey, do we want to explore it all, looking to build? Because if you jump right on it, by the time you get ready and actually win an offer, what was last year's market, we'll see what happens. But that timing-wise probably met up.
Yeah.
So.
There was a ton of catch-22s. We were blessed with certain things, and it was also the Achilles heel for a lot of things. It just changed the way we practiced.
Yeah, we had to adapt. I mean, our agents had to adapt. Everybody worked their ass off this year, and we're proud of that. But it wasn't rainbows and butterflies and easy going. I mean, with that said, there's overall transactions. The only thing that's up is pricing.
Yeah.
Everything else is down. A lot of brokerages business, a lot of agents business are down significantly. We're talking 20, 30%.
Not Keller Williams. We're the only one that's up. Oh, go ahead.
That's big. When you take away 30% of somebody's income that they're used to just because of overall market condition and they're not adapting quick enough, that's tough.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of people that after what is now 2-3 years of that happening and that downward trend, the industry is changing every day, and adapt or die.
I was just going to say adapt or die. That is the reality.
Don't
if you
die,
don't
literally, but
die or adapt,
Yeah, either one.
either one.
So
if at age.
So next episode you want to do, we'll do what we can expect for 2019. What you guys
Preview special.
get the crystal ball out and
Yep.
put our bets in, and then we can check them off as it happens throughout the year.
Playoffs.
Do something like that.
Crystal meth,
Yeah,
playoffs,
take our
and crystal
meth.
ball,
Yeah.
playoffs, and 2019 expectations.
Getting old.
What's that?
We're getting old.
You ain't kidding, man. I feel terrible.
What did we do? This was episode 44?
44.
Yeah.
So what, we had 8 weeks of vacation? Is that what that means? How'd that work?
Why did we start? Did we start first of the year last year? Did we?
I think so.
Pretty
I
much.
think we
don't
did.
know.
Wow. Really slacking.
Maybe.
No, we'll make sure we get the full 52 next
Yeah.
year, right?
You were gone once. I was gone once. Mark had the Ebola breakout.
Yeah, Ebola breakout.
in his house.
I don't feel like I took 8 weeks vacation.
I don't know. We definitely didn't take 8 minutes vacation. I don't know if we took 8 days.
Well, you can find the podcast and subscribe at AnthonyButerratine.com, and there's a podcast tab and link to iTunes, Stitcher, all that good stuff. I will see you next week.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year, guys.
Thanks for listening to The Real Estate Show. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. If you're looking to sell or buy, talk to the Anthony Butera team of Keller Williams Realty, Greater Rochester. Visit AnthonyButerraTeam.com.